In 2025, I've generated over $500,000 for coaches and consultants. Now here's the proof right here, $100,000 collected here, $320,000 here, $50,000 here. Now the other $50,000 were miscellaneous things like cash and other payment processors that was not accounted. Now you're probably wondering, how did I do this? Well, there's one funnel that I used that allowed me to generate over $500,000, which I'll go over in just a second. But before that, I have two goals for this video. Number one is, if you're a coach or consultant, you have the exact steps you can take to create a funnel that'll get you to $50,000 a month at least in 2026. And goal number two, if you are someone who wants to learn exactly what I do, you know the exact systems you can set up for a coach or consultant. So what is that funnel? It is a book to call funnel. Now let's zoom out real quick. Now I break this down into three simple steps. Number one is the funnel. Number two is sales. And then number three is scaling it. So first thing first, let's get into the funnel and exactly how it works. So there's two ways to do a book to call funnel. There's number one, the way where the prospect puts their information in at the beginning. And there's number two, the way where the prospect puts their information in at the end through a type form. We're gonna go through both ways, and my goal with the funnel is to help you figure out what's the best way for you. So first thing first, we have the way where they put in their information at the beginning. So you can see this landing page right here. This was for a day trading offer that I managed at the beginning of this year. It was a basic headline, private training for aspiring day traders, and how I went from staring at charts 8 hours a day to making 6 figures a year. Now, when you create this headline, it's very, very important for it to be a how I went from, a transformation or a discover, or explaining something, how you went from X to Y. Right? There has to be some sort of change in this headline. And then if we zoom in a little bit right here, you also need to add reasons as to why someone may not want to watch this, or their biggest pain points, right? So in the trading space, the biggest pain point is so for example, with trading, their biggest pain point is losing streaks, over trading and over analyzing. Like this was for an AI algorithmic offer. So that was the biggest pain points that we were hitting right there. Then once they put in their information, a pop-up is going to pop up when they click get me the free training. That's going to collect their name, email, and phone number, and it's going to take us to this page right here, the exact trading blueprint that lets you trade profitably in just 2 hours a day without staring at charts all day. As you can see right there, the biggest pain points: staring at charts. Traders do not like staring at charts, and obviously they want to become profitable. So it was a 10-minute VSL, basically doing three things: explaining the business model or explaining the business opportunity. In this case, it was an AI algorithm, which was a little bit different, selling the people on the creator himself, and then lastly, helping them understand enough so that they could possibly make a decision on the call, right? And then the video was a 10-minute long video, which at the end, it gave them a CTA to apply for access for his algorithm. And in this VSL, it was filled with influence principles and testimonials, getting people to understand that the best decision they could take after watching this is applying. Now, under that, you had basics testimonials, for example, how this person passed their funded account, how he made X amount of money, and things like that. Now, once they clicked apply for access more, it will then bring them to this type form. The goal of this type form was not to book a call. It was mainly to understand where the lead is at and to see how qualified they are, right? So it was a 5 to 6 question type form, asking them questions like, how long have you been trading? Are you profitable? What are you looking for specifically? And then asking for their information right there. Now, all of the information that you collect right here is going to be sent to a specific place, which we'll cover at the end of the section. But I wanted to go over that first. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, Edmond, where and when should I use this, and who should I use it for? So when should you use a book to call funnel where they cannot book a call and you get the leads information at the beginning? Is if number one, it's a biz op opportunity. So things like day trading, drop shipping, Amazon FBA, things like that are biz ops. You really don't want to allow people to book a call. Next thing is a younger ICP. A lot of traders are young, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. They just want to make a lot of money very, very fast. So you don't want to allow them to book a call just because they have a lot of things going on and they're not really gonna, and they may not always be focused on the exact business model, and they may be choosing between 3 to 4 business models, right? And also to mention, some of these guys may need a free lead magnet, whereas with this type of funnel right here that we're gonna go over later on, they may not need some sort of lead magnet. They just may need exactly what you're going to sell, and then a way for them to buy it. Last thing is unrefutable. Unrefutable was actually what I was going for right there, but unrefutable objections. So what I mean by this is like objections that you cannot handle, like a parent objection, like, oh, I need to put money in my bank objection, things like that you can't actually handle on the call. These are the 3 ones right here here. And that's exactly, now if these fit for your coaching offer right here, then you want to try this funnel out right there. But if it does not, we also have a different way, which we are going to go over now. So let's go on ahead and zoom in. So the way that this works is it's a headline, VSL, and then apply. So if you look up here, we have some sort of lead magnet. It's like a free training that we're giving them, which is just basically a VSL. They do learn a little bit, but it's mainly a VSL. And then here, it's just basically a headline, unlock the 3-part Rainmaker strategy that turns 500 wholesalers are using to consistently turn deals into $100,000 check, a 10 to 12 minute long VSL explaining the business model, selling them on the person, and then selling them on themselves, a CTA at the end to apply to work with him one-on-one. Now, with a business model like real estate, you really don't need to sell people on the business model or real estate because most people understand what real estate is. But with this one right here, he called it novation. So we had to sell him on his technique or his unique mechanism. Same exact thing is up next. Then it's just a bunch of testimonials on the landing page. And from there, once they click, let's go back. Once they click apply for Rainmaker or whatever, then they go through and they apply. Now with these questions, it's a lot more targeted. Instead of it being like 3 to 5 questions, it's about 7 to 8 questions that are very, very specific because if they qualify, they will then be able to go and book a call to a Calendly. So that's the second process right here. Now you're probably wondering, when should I go this route? Well, if it's a business model that is straightforward, real estate is very, very straightforward, and a lot of people understand how it works. Another example of a business model that's relatively straightforward is something like Airbnbs or any service-based business coaching offer would be very straightforward. So you don't really need to have a setter contact them before to qualify them and things like that. You could just allow them to book a call. Next thing, if they'll have basic objections. Now for most real estate people who go on ahead and book a call and not actually qualified, they're probably not going to give you a parent objection. They may give you a business partner objection, but they're not going to give you a parent objection or I got to go put money in the bank or just these objections that are like BS, but you can't really argue them, right? And then last thing, if they're an older ICP. An older ICP works better with an older ICP because they don't need a free training. They just need to know exactly what you sell and a way to purchase that thing. Now, when we're talking up here where all this information goes, let's get right into that. So this information that's taken on the Typeform and on this beginning landing page, and also right here on this Typeform, is sent to these 3 things right here. Go High Level, which is a CRM, which is where you're going to collect your data, which we're going to talk about in just a second, as it's the second part of this whole funnels. Next thing is ConvertKit, which is an email marketing software that allows you to market via email. And then last but not least is Discord, which is a communication for you and your team, right? So next thing is a sales process that you use for a book to call funnel. Now there's 3 core parts of this. There's the CRM, which is Go High Level. You could use Go High Level or Close. There's a SDR or a setter, whatever you want to call it. And then there's a closer. Now let's get right into it first. Let's start with Go High Level. Now Go High Level is one of those tools that you have to use if you're at least making $10,000 a month. The return on investment is exceptionally high. The reason for that is because Go High Level allows you to track your leads. So let me show you right here one of the pipelines we have for our leads. As you can see, we have new leads, low tickets, same day set, 6-hour follow-up, first day follow-up, last day dead, long-term book calls, and all these things. So it allows us to know exactly where the lead are going, when we need to follow up with them, how much money they have, how much money we're waiting for, all of these things that your sales team could possibly need, to following up with these and making sure every single ounce of money that's in the pipeline is squeezed. So if you're not using Go High Level, I absolutely suggest you go take a look at Go High Level. It's around $97 a month. It's not going to break the bank. But the return on investment is really, really, really high. That's then going to lead us to the second thing, which is an SDR, setter, whatever you want to call it. A setter's role is to personally follow up with every qualified lead, warm up the prospect before they speak to the closer, and increase call bookings and show up. So in simpler terms, when someone goes on and applies to work with the person one-on-one, let's just say with the first exact funnel where they cannot book specifically, the setter will call them up and do these 3 things right here, qualify them and get them ready for the call. Now, even if they do book a call, you still have a setter to go there and call them up, make sure all these things are qualified, and then gets them ready for the call. But the crucial part with all of this is the reminder sequence that I have set in place for my coaching offer that allow us to have very, really high conversions. So when someone is booked a call and the setter realizes that the person is qualified, we have a 24-hour reminder, a 12-hour reminder, an 8-hour reminder, a 4-hour reminder, a 1-hour reminder, a 30-minute reminder, and a join the meeting reminder. Now in these reminders, there's obviously the reminder for the meeting, but there's also pre-call materials that's meant to handle the objection, explain the business model if it's needed, and excite them for the call. Now before we implemented this, we were like 60-70% show up rate, and that boosted us up to straight to an 85-90% show up rate for my coaching offers. So definitely implement this. It's very, very easy to do, but definitely implement this. It's very easy to do. But if you're someone who's looking at this and are completely confused, whether you're a coach or consultant or a growth operator that's confusing all of these things, I do have a one-on-one mentorship where you can work with me one-on-one to either one, help you scale your business, where I go and set up all these systems for you and we work together to do this if you're a coach and consultant. And number two, if you're a growth operator that wants to learn exactly this for coaches and consultants. Now, if you're someone that's looking at this and is completely confused, I have an offer for you. If you're a coach or consultant or someone who wants to learn the exact business model that I'm doing right now, I have a Typeform below that allows you to book a call to work with me one-on-one, whether scaling your coaching offer or learning this to run for other coaching business. So let's get right back into it. And like I was saying, this is extremely crucial. You could probably set this up in an hour or less, and you could just have it automated and sitting on the back end. Now, the last thing is the closer. The reason, and then real quick, let's go back real quick. The reason why I have this magic thing right here is because setters are extremely crucial. Like, setters are more important than closers, I would say, specifically, because a good setter will either make you a lot of money, or a bad setter will lose you a lot of money. So when you're hiring a setter, or if you have a good setter, make sure to treat them well, because they are hard to come by. Next thing, we have a closer. They are the one that collects the money. A closer handles sales calls and closes deals for you. He's trained to sell your offer with confidence and only speak to qualified/warm leads that come from the setter. Now, the same exact thing goes to the setter or to pipelines. A closer has their own pipeline. If a lead is closed, obviously they get put here. If the lead is not closed, they get put here. No shows, put here. Follow up short term. Now, what I mean by short term, right? People will say like, I just need to put the money in the bank tomorrow, or my bank's closed over the weekend, or I'm buying a car on Monday, I can't do it. And then long-term follow-ups are people who say, hey, wait till the end of the month. It's Christmas right now. I can't really buy anything until, next month or something along the lines. And then you follow up with them long-term. And then there's also bad fit. There's people out there who are poor fits that you do not need to sell unless you want to deal with chargebacks. If you see that they have a lot of fear, do not sell them. It's better to keep. It's better to not have $500 extra than to deal with chargebacks, right? Then there's last follow-ups and then dead leads. So that's kind of how the pipeline goes right there in regards to the sales side of things. Then that's now going to lead us to scaling. Because if you have these two things, the funnel and the sales system, you're going to make some sort of money, whether that be $5,000, $10,000, or even $100,000, which I've used for coaching programs, right? But scaling comes down to two things. It comes down to communication and being data driven. So let's first talk about communication. So for all of my coaching offers, I have a Discord setup that we communicate through. We have Mod for me, my sales manager, and the offer owners and the content team. And we have sales chat for all of the sales rep, and we have closer chat for the closers, setter general for the setters, and things like that. Communication is very, 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 very key, right? And what also goes into communications is EODs and BODs. EOD stands for end of day, BOD stands for beginning of day, right? So for example, we have a setter BOD where a setter will go through, he'll tell us, a setter EOD, where a setter will go through, tell us how many people he dialed, how the conversations were, the quality, the appointment set, calls on the calendar for tomorrow, how many deals were closed, and any bottlenecks he may possibly have. When it comes to scaling a coaching program, communication is absolutely key. If you don't know what your team is doing or what your setters or closers are dealing with, you're not going to be able to scale, right? And it goes right into being data driven. And that's the same exact thing for closers, right? How many calls showed up, how many calls were booked, any objections that he's dealing with, how much was cash collected, why, fathoms, bottlenecks, all of these things. Communication is extremely important when it comes to this. The next thing is being data driven. Once you've made some sort of money, then you have to look at the data and analyze what's working and what is not working. And for every single one of my coaching offers, I set up this Google Looker Studio right here that allows us to track how many calls were booked, how much money we collected, the revenue we generated, how many deals were closed a month, calls showed up, our close rate, show up rate, reschedule rate, and average deal size, so that we can scale predictably. Now, if you're a coach or consultant or a growth operator that wants to learn exactly what I'm doing right here and want to work with me one-on-one, whether it's scaling your own coaching program or learning how to scale coaching programs, click that first link below. I have a Typeform there where you could go through, and at the end, if you qualify, you will be able to book a call. Or if you don't qualify, at the end of the Typeform, there's some free resources. Advise you to go through them, because regardless, you're going to get something out of it. But that's going to do it from the video. If you have any questions, put them down below. And if you like the video, obviously like it. But thank you guys for watching. Until next time.